Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today we are chatting about the new Essence and Catrice limited edition collection. This is their Disney Classics 10 Wild Together collection. Let's get started. Welcome to everybody watching today's video. Thank you so very much for being here today. In case you are unfamiliar with my channel, you would like to know a little bit more about it, then just know that I love chatting about eyeshadow palettes. Essence and Catrice products is my main bread and butter here as well, and getting the use out of my makeup. And if you are a fellow snow angel like me, meaning you have a fair skin tone that leans more cool to neutral, and you find, like I do, that a lot of hyped up makeup doesn't look quite right on you because your undertone just doesn't really match, then make sure you subscribe to the channel because I love chatting about my take on makeup coming from this fair girl friendly, cool toned undertone sort of perspective. That's what I've got going on here. And a lot of you were asking me in comments already, like, are you going to be reviewing the new Essence and Catrice limited edition? And the answer is yes. I'm a little late to the game because I struggled finding these products and getting a hold of these. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't just do a first impression, but that I could actually review the products and having already tried everything at least once on my face, so I can give you the full lowdown. And I'm already going to say it straight off the bat, this is a good limited edition collection. There are a lot of great products here, and if you can find them, I know it can be very difficult for some people, like it was for me, then make sure you check these out because there is definitely a lot going on here that I think is very pretty, and I'm very happy I was able to try these for you. Now, if you don't want to sit through this entire video and you just want to see swatches and close-up pictures of these products and just gawk at it for a minute, then I will make sure to leave a link in the description box down below because I will have a blog post going live in tandem with this video where you can just have a look at all of these things and all of the looks that I did. I will also be inserting lots of pictures of all of the products here, just so you have a close-ups in this video, but I'm going to be chatting about all of my thoughts, so it's going to be a long video. I just know, and I know not everybody likes that, so let's just get started with this video right now because we've got a lot of products to talk about. I've got my hair pulled back and I'm starting with a bare face for a reason, because this collection not only came with some makeup products, but they also came with some skincare and body care products. I didn't buy any of the body care because it was a lot of self-tanning and glitter body oil, which is not my vibe. But the skincare from both Essence and Catrice I know I quite like. I've tried other products by them in the past and have quite enjoyed it so far. So they came out with the Disney Classics Catrice Hyaluronic Acid Face Serum with rose water. Now there is an orange version of this, which this is the one from the Marie collection. And they also have a lady collection, I believe, that comes with a similar serum, but that one has orange blossom water. And I thought, is that a whole lot of difference between these two products that I need to show both? I was like, this way you know they're skincare part of this range. And this is different from other serums that I've tried from them because I felt that, and maybe I can show you if I like squeeze it out. Do you see how gloopy that is? It's almost like it's got a bit of a gel texture, and in the bottle it looks like there's going to be a lot of glitter, but it doesn't translate to your face. I find that this product is actually quite hydrating. I quite liked it. I've only used it twice so far, and with skincare, I need a little bit more than just 2 tries for it to really be, you know, give it my thoughts. But in terms of what this does, yeah, it's on par with other serums I've tried from the brand, and I quite like it. It's quite hydrating. It does have a rose smell, so you do need to be aware of that. I don't find it overly fragrant though. Like, there's a hint of something rose, but it doesn't linger and it doesn't like irritate my nostrils as I'm like putting it on. So I'm going to be setting up the rest of my makeup look, which I'm going to skip through, and then we're going to be talking about the other products in a minute because everything else I have for you is makeup. So what do I have in store for you in today's video? I've got a lip gloss that I'm going to start things off with because that should have a plumping effect, and I want to see if that actually works. I've got some lipsticks here as well, which I'm going to be using towards the end. I have all of the face products. I've got 2 bronzers and a couple of blushes and highlighters. And then I have all 6 eyeshadow palettes here as well, and I thought I could do a makeup look using one shade of each of them. So let's talk about the gloss first. I bought my products from Notino.nl because the products had already sold out on Cosmetic for Less by the time I had spotted them. This went really fast, but I was able to still get my hands on it. But Notino didn't have the second shade that comes in this gloss, so I only have one of the gloss shades. This is the What a Gloss Plumping Lip Filler with hyaluronic acid. This is in the shade Fall in Love, and this is one of those actual like tingly feeling lip glosses. A lot of Essence and Catrice products will claim to be plumping, but then they mean plumping in the sense of hydrating, and this is supposed to be hydrating, but because it also has that tingling sensation, I think it's also supposed to like make your lips look bigger. So I'm just going to put this on. It's a very pretty, just pinky shade that's very close to my natural lip color. It has a little bit of a sparkle running through it. I'll make sure to pop a picture up on the screen of the swatches. And you know, it's just one of those barely there kind of things. So this is what the gloss looks like on. I think this looks really pretty. It does have a strong, like burning kind of sensation when you put this on. It smells very minty, very like a peppermint kind of thing. You can feel a little bit of the particles in it, but it really isn't anything too bothersome. It just feels very hydrating on. And I think the shade is pretty. I mean, it's quite close to my natural lip color, as I already mentioned. So would I have bought this if it wasn't for this limited edition collection? No. But is this a bad lip gloss? No. I'm just not really sure about the plumping effect. I've only tried it once so far, and I felt I couldn't see much of a difference, which is why I thought I could also put it on a little earlier in the video, so that by the time we get to the lip products, because I have 2 more lipsticks to try, that we can actually see how the gloss does in terms of like physically plumping my lips. So then the collection came with bronzers as well as some blushes and highlighters, and these products are split between the brands. So Catrice came out with the bronzers in the collection. There is 2. There is the Marie bronzer and the Lady bronzer. They have different shade names, and also if you look on the back picture that it has here, these do have different undertones. So the Marie one, I feel, is perhaps a little bit lighter and a little bit more yellow toned, and then the Lady one is a little bit deeper and it has a bit more of an orange undertone. Now the Marie one, I'm not sure if you can see this really well on camera. It's such a shame. I think my lights are actually blowing these out, but the character is embossed in the pan. It's really cute. You actually don't really want to stick your brush into these when you have these, because they're that pretty. Now I'm going to be trying both of them out for you. I'm going to start off with the Marie one because it is the lightest, and then I'm going to put on the Lady one, and the Lady one I prefer because it just does a little bit more for me, and the Marie one I feel is a little too lackluster. I think of the entire collection here, I think these bronzers are the thing that I would recommend the least. They look the best from a packaging perspective with that little embossing, but in terms of quality, they are not bad bronzers. It's just that this shade is a touch too light, even for my fair skin, and the Lady one is just a touch too dark, and it's not going to be dark enough for most people. So with the bronzers, again, I feel those are a bit more hit and miss, and these also have a little bit of a coconutty kind of scent. It has a little bit, reminds me a lot of the scent you get in the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, if you're familiar with that. So let me put this one on. So that is what the Marie bronzer looks like. I think that in the dead of winter, this is a great bronzer for my skin tone, but we're getting into spring. We've had a couple of nice days. My skin tone is getting a little bit darker. Really, who am I kidding? I never get that deep, but yeah, I think that at this moment in time, the Lady bronzer is a little bit better for me, and since I think that it doesn't really matter with how light this other bronzer is, I can just layer them on top of each other. So I'm going to be using this, and these are nice soft powders, and that is what the Lady bronzer looks like. And as you can see, I feel that this just does a little bit more in terms of bronzing for my skin right now, which is why this one has my preference of the 2. They are incredibly light. These are not going to be bronzers that are going to be perfect for everyone. If you're super fair, The Marie one may be very, very pretty. But like I said, from this entire collection, I think the bronzers are the least exciting. Now, then they also came out with these three things from the Essence collection. So these are actually called the Maxi Blush Highlighter, and they come in 3 different shades. Now, I swatched these, and I felt the Bambi one, so that's, look, it's so pretty. The packaging also of these Essence products, it's like scratchy, like it feels really good quality. I love it. But this is what it looks like. And I thought this really reminded me of a couple of Too Faced bronzers way back in the day. But this actually works like a highlighter on me. You get quite a lot of the highlighter bits, but you don't really get a lot of the color. So that brown color in the background, you don't get a lot of. Now, I am afraid that these are going to be like overlays, so that when you really commit to using these on a day-to-day basis, that bronzy shade is the thing you're going to be left with. That is still a risk with these, I think, because Essence and Catrice are known for having things like oversprays or things that don't go all the way down to the pan. But let me swatch, like that's what the Bambi powder looks like. And then I'm really like going in like this, like trying to mix all of those shades. And then what you get is just actually quite a pretty, like champagne-y highlighter. So there's the Bambi powder, very glowy, not too in-your-face glow, it's like very natural still, and I do really like that shade, but like I said, I am a little bit afraid that those shiny bits may disappear if you truly commit and you dig down into the pan. But the other 2 shades definitely have more of a blush quality for them. So the Dumbo one has an orange peachy tone, and the Patch one from 101 Dalmatians has a pink tone. So let me show you these. So that's what these 2 look like. And I felt that these had more color payoff than the Bambi one. The Bambi one stays pretty champagne looking, but especially when I applied these to the cheeks, I was like, I hope they make this formula permanent, because if you're looking for a glowy blush, holy moly, which is why we're going to do one cheek with the Patch shade and one cheek with the Dumbo shade. And this is a little bit more cool toned and this is a bit more warm toned. I like these. Now this is what these 2 products look like. So the Patch one I feel is lighter, it's a little bit brighter, it's got a cooler undertone, but I was afraid that it was going to be too light because it does have a highlighter kind of embedded like the Bambi one, but it just gives a really nice glow to the cheeks and you do still get a little bit of color. It's not too light of a pink, which I also like. On my skin tone, the way this blends out, it definitely has a little bit more warmth, especially combined with the bronzer. And then the Dumbo one is my favorite of the 2. Like, we all know about my love for glowy peachy tone blushes, and this is perfection. Like the way this blends on, like it just looks dewy and glowy and wet on the skin, and I'm just really taken with these. The Bambi one, I would never use all over my cheeks because I find it a little bit too like icy for that, so I would definitely only use that as a highlighter. But these 2 blushes, I don't know what they're going on about, but these are incredibly great. And then it's time to try some eyeshadow palettes. Very often in these collections, the eyeshadow palettes are the main event, and this collection is no different. So I have all 3 Essence palettes and all 3 Catrice palettes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an eye look using 1 shade from each palette so that I can chat about them as well. If you want to see a look that I created using just the actual palette, then make sure that you go to the blog post in the description box, because I did use each palette individually in preparation for this video. So in the Essence collection, we get the Dumbo palette, which looks like this. We get the Bambi palette, which looks like this. And we get the Patch palette, which looks like this. Like this shade in the middle looks like it could be a 101 Dalmatian. It's really, really cute. They definitely tried to do something differently here with their palettes and the textures you get, which I greatly appreciate. Then we have the Lady palette, and these open like a little book. Then we have Marie, and we have Miss Bunny. I zoomed you in a little bit, but not all the way, so that you can still see me holding up the product and which shades I'm selecting. The first palette I'm going to be using is the Miss Bunny palette. And of the Catrice ones, this is the lightest one that they do. You get some purples and some blues over on this side. So when I did the single look I did with this palette, I focused mainly on the purples. I think I used about 8 or 9 shades to pull that look together. And I have to say, with how difficult purples are to be formulated, this worked really, really well in terms of the purples that are in here. I really enjoyed playing with this. Yes, it is quite light, but even like a shade like this has a little bit more vibrancy to it. Today I'm going to be using this mustardy brown just to set up the crease because I think that's a perfect crease shade. And this Miss Bunny palette I felt was like one of the safest options when it comes to these. It's not too outspoken, it's not too warm toned, it's not too cool toned. Like, I think that this kind of palette, it can just appeal to so many people. Like, it just has a lot going for it. And as you can see here with this matte, these have great pigmentation. They are soft, and you will get a little bit of, like, let's call it kick up in the pan. So these do have fallout, so I would recommend tapping off the excess from your brush for sure. But look at that, it takes seconds to apply this, and it's absolutely stunning. So that would be the Miss Bunny palette. And the mattes, this quality goes for all the mattes that I've used in all 6 of these palettes. The mattes are outstanding. They are amazing. So definitely check out. If you love mattes, you're gonna love these palettes. The second palette I'm going to be using is the Marie palette from Catrice. This is so fun, and I thought when I first spotted this online that it was going to be another boring rosy toned eyeshadow palette. But this is the more affordable version of the Rose Quartz by Huda Beauty, I have to say. Like, it's got a little bit more warmth, but it's quite cool toned. And what Essence and Catrice are trying to do in this collection is add texture. I think the brands are calling them multi-chromes, and I wish they hadn't, because if you've ever played with an indie eyeshadow that is called a multi-chrome, then this is not it. These are more like textured toppers, like iridescent flaky shimmers that you can use to layer other things on top of. And this palette has a really good example here in this pink shade. I'm not sure if you can see it here, but it's got a bit of a blue flip, and also this pink in the corner. Like, those two layered together were so pretty. And that's also what I went for when I tried out this palette, was a lot of the pinky, rosy, mauve tones that this has. And I love the look that I came up with. It was so, so stunning. I haven't really played with a lot of the neutrals this has, so I'm going to be putting this shade all over the lid. So yeah, this shimmer formula, like some of the shimmers in here in these palettes are really, really lovely. Like this one, like it takes no effort whatsoever. I will be going in with a bit of finger action. I always do that whenever I apply a shimmer. I just feel it evens out the texture, no matter how expensive my eyeshadow is. I also do this with my Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath palettes. So this is not just Catrice or the fact that it's affordable, but this really pretty, like, oh, this is such a good gold. Like, it's a gold, but it's nothing too in-your-face gold, you could say. So I'm just picking up a little bit with my finger just to intensify that a little bit. And then what I like to do is to actually take my crease shade again and go back in and just make sure it's all nicely blended. Maybe if I feel like it towards the end, I might pop one of those like transformer shades onto my lid, but I feel that those really go within the palette and not necessarily in a way like this. And then finally we have the Lady palette, and the Lady palette is the one I am most taken with. Maybe I'm secretly getting into warm tones, who knows, but this warm tone color story, this is what the Pocahontas palette that they released over the fall time should have looked like. Agree with me? I hope you do. This is so, so pretty. Like this red, that was the focal point of the look I did. And I wore that look out and I actually got people complimenting me on my eye look that day. I also used some of these like yellow tones. This really intense yellow tone gold was really pretty in the inner corner. Today I want to use this really dark brown because it has like a reddish cool tone and I think it can be pretty as a liner. So this, if you like your warm tones, don't sleep on it. And it has, again, like, I think this shade is a little too similar to the one I already used just now, but you get some like really neutrally nice shades, and then you have more like peachy, orangey leaning shades. And then this, I just want to swatch this for you because you won't believe that this is Catrice when you see it. That is a Catrice shadow. Can you see that it's not just a red, it has an orange flip? It reminds me a lot of the shade that they did in the, what was it called? The Mini palette. So they did a Minnie and Daisy Duck collab a couple of months. Yeah, I think it was last year that they did it, or 2 years ago. I'm not sure anymore. But that's what the shade reminds me of, but that was really tough and it needed 3 layers. This, just 1 layer and it was fine. Like, so let me apply that darker shade from this palette as a bit of liner. And I cannot talk and do eyeshadow at the same time, so I do apologize. So yeah, that was the shade from the Lady palette. It is definitely like dark enough to really deepen things up. I really like that there's some depth and definition in all 3 of these actually. Like, so I think that this one is like the lightest one, but it's quite colorful still. You do get that nice little bright pop of blue, which worked really well. I was really impressed with that shade. And then the Marie palette is your like rosy toned neutrals, a little bit more cool toned leaning. And then you have your Lady palette, which is your sultry warm tones. I think that these Catrice ones are really clever. These are some of the best eyeshadow that Catrice has done in a long, long time. So I'm really happy with these. And these also feel very hefty. Where the Essence feel like textured and rough, these also feel textured, but they also are quite smooth, which I like. So good packaging, good product. Loving it. And then we're moving on to the Essence palettes. And the first one I want to use is the Patch palette. And this one, I already showed it to you just now. Now these Essence palettes are all a little bit more unusual from what these brands tend to do. The Catrice ones are a little safer and a little bit more your like everyday kind of shades. But in here, like you can see, you have this like Dalmatian kind of shade, which I think is fun. You get reds with a blue and like a gold, like what are they up against? Now when I did the look with this palette, I did use the reds and they actually worked quite well. I was pretty impressed. This shade, you should know, blends into a silver, like a dirty, murky silver shade. You get some like toppery multi-chromes, as they like to call them. I would call them iridescent toppers. They also work best as they don't have much of a base color to them if you layer them over other shades in the palette. That is definitely something you should know. In these Essence palettes, I found not all of the shades to be super vibrant in terms of like the shimmers you get. Like this blue, I had a hard time building up. I think the blue in the Dumbo palette is better quality. This was a bit sheer. And the shade I would like to use today is this darker like bronzy brown on the lower lash line. Let me show you this shade going on. I mean, it's a bronzy neutral. They really, like the neutrals in all of these palettes are really lovely. Also from like swatching them. These are just really, really lovely things. So the Patch palette, I think, is just a lovely addition. I don't think there is any brand at the moment that is doing this kind of color story. Are the flaky shimmers that they call multi-chromes a little bit gimmicky? Perhaps. But I do appreciate that the brand is trying to do something differently that they haven't done before and that you don't see other brands doing just yet. I think that this is a fun palette to play around with, and I greatly appreciate that. Now, my favorite one of these Essence palette has to be the Dumbo palette, and the reason for it, it's cool tones. You do get a bright pop of pastel yellow that it kind of shows up, but not quite. I would have liked this to be a little bit more saturated, but I could use a white base for this to stick to, and then it would work a lot better. The blue in this works really well. I put it on my lower lash line. The shade right here in the middle, also if you look at the close-up shot that I took before I had used this, then you can see that it seems to have all these different colors. I felt that on the lid that didn't really translate, and it is more of like a, I wouldn't call it a topper. You can build it up to full intensity, but it's just like a pretty shine on the lid. I didn't really see those different shades popping up. So I don't know why the brand would call some of these more flaky shimmers multi-chromes. That's the only gripe I have, is that they, like at least in some of the promotion, I believe I've read that they call some of these things multi-chromes. They're not multi-chromes. They're just flaky. They're flaky toppers that you need to use a finger with to actually do anything. So that is a bit of a shame here, but I appreciate this color story so much. We get some lavender pinky shades. We get some gray tones. I think this goes with the Dumbo theme very well as well. Like, I think that they really listen to people, like giving feedback to some of the previous collections they've done, where one of my main issues was that the color stories didn't really have anything to do with the characters. And this time they've really nailed it, I feel. So I'm just going to use this really light, like gray toned lavender for the lower lash line here. And this is another one of those shimmers that just works really well. Is this perhaps a little gimmicky? Also, the patch palette perhaps is for some people, but I just like that they're trying to do something a bit more unique and very in keeping with the characters. So kudos to that. Then I think the most wearable color story that Essence has come out with is the Bambi one. And Bambi has this really lovely green toned with neutrals color story. It reminds me a little bit of the Catrice Hint of Mint that was newly released, not gonna lie. But this I thought was stunning. This dark green, wow, it blew me away. It was so, so stunning. In here, again, I'm going to go for the most boring shade, which is the champagne for the inner corner, because that's the look I'm doing today. But I did an all brown and green look when I used this palette for my review, and just to see what these colors would do and what it would. This, in terms of quality and wearability, and you do want something that has colors and neutrals, this guy, it truly, truly works. This is also, this has a bit of a green flip, and this mint shade was actually pretty good when you build it up. Again, you could use like a mint base color or a white to really make it pop, but I felt this mint shade was better than the light yellow in the Dumbo palette. And that would be the Bambi palette. I think that also Essence really nailed it when it comes to these palettes. These color stories really nicely represent the characters that we've got going on the front. They really go with the vibe, I feel. They're trying to do something unique. They've got something cool going on here. The shadows are really good quality, like some of those shimmers, and they're just really, really fun. You get quite a lot of topper shades, though, in these, I have to say. Like, I wish they would have committed to a little less iridescence and perhaps a little bit more full-on metallic, because that's what I prefer. But I know I'll go back to these and like play around with them because they are that stunning. They just really, really are. So let me finish off the rest of this makeup and then we'll talk lips. So what do we think? Have my lips plumped up a little bit? I think perhaps a little bit, but this is not the most, like if you're really looking for that oomph sort of effect, this is not it. It's a pretty gloss. That's all I can say. So now we're going to move on to the two lipsticks that I have. I have the Marie lipstick and the Lady lipstick. These are both by Catrice. They are in a satin formula and they have a coconut scent. So you do need to know that. But I love Catrice lipsticks. Like, they're like one of my favorite things for sure. I really think that they stuck to their guns with this. Like, overall, I tend to like Catrice bronzers over Essence ones, and Essence blushes tend to be better than Catrice ones. So I really think that they really stuck to their, like, the things that these brands do well, even though they're owned by the same company. So this is what the Marie shade looks like. Again, you just want to own this because of the packaging. I'm not sure you can see, but yeah, if you look at the close-ups that I took of this, it has like this little like animal print, like leopard print kind of thing going on, and then it has Disney stamped into it. It's like a pale peachy pink. It's perhaps a little too light for my liking. Let me show you. So this is what the Marie lipstick looks like. Like I said, perhaps a touch too light for me because I can see my natural lip color coming through. But it is pretty, and I really like the formula of these. I'm really hoping that Catrice will come out with this in like a full line of satin lipsticks when they do their fall-winter update this summer. Because some of their cream lipsticks that I have from way back in the day are some of my favorites. And this formula really reminds me of that old Ultimate Color formula that they used to do. It's not the most long lasting on the lips. It's definitely a lipstick you need to like touch up after you eat or drink because it's very creamy and therefore also very comfortable on the lips. So if you were to have this in like very bright shades, it may transfer a little bit, but in a shade like this, it's going to be pretty cool. And this is also, again, a lipstick shade that I think you might like if you have a cooler undertone, because especially on me, it seems to pull quite blue tone pink, which is something that I do like about this. It's definitely a little bit different from like other things that I've tried from Catrice. So then we're moving on to the Lady shade, and like the Marie shade, this bullet has a design, but it's not half as pretty. And as you can see in the bullet, this looks like a peachy nude until I put it on. So let me do that for you. And this is what the shade Lady looks like on my lips. And I have to say, I find this quite flattering. In the bullet, and also like if you look at the sticker, it looks like this is going to be like a boring peachy tone nude, which very often peachy tone nudes I don't love on myself because they clash with my skin tone. But this has quite a lot of rosiness running through it. It doesn't look like it when you look at, especially in the camera. If I look at the viewfinder, this looks like a peachy brown. But in real life, you can see it has a little bit of a rosy undertone. But now that I've swatched it several times, does this have sparkle? I don't know, maybe I should use it a bit more. But now that I was using it again, it seems to have a little bit of a like shimmer when you look at the bullet, but it doesn't really appear on the lips, which is interesting to me. But yeah, those are the products that I wanted to share with you today. What do you guys think? What was your favorite thing that I've tried right now? For me, I think I like everything here. Like formula-wise, texture-wise, I like everything. It really just comes down to your personal preference. I feel with this collection, I really think that they've outdone themselves. These eyeshadow palettes, if you can pick up just one, I don't care which one it is, I think you won't regret it. These palettes have something unique to them. They have good blendability, good building up of shimmers. They've got a good variety of mattes and shimmers as well. Every palette has something unique going for it. These lipsticks I like. They're not necessarily my shades, but I do like them. Of the cheek products, the Dumbo blush, I'm definitely going to put this into everyday rotation because I just love this. But I also like the other two for sure. For the bronzers, I just wish there was more of a contrast between these two. Like one a bit lighter and one much deeper like they did in their holiday skin bronzers. And then perhaps a third shade that's even deeper. So that if you have a dark skin tone, you can use these as well. So yeah, the bronzers are perhaps a bit of a letdown, but that I'm being very picky. And I like the gloss and the skin and the serum too. Like, they're good products. I think that Catrice and Essence have come out with an excellent limited edition. Let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. In the meantime, I would love for you to thumbs up the video if you could, because it could help out my channel greatly. So thank you very much for doing that. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make regular content with Essence and Catrice products. So I actually have a couple more planned for next month as well. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye everybody, take care.